In the quiet foothills of the Italian Alps, where the peaks rise gently like slumbering giants, and the air carries the scent of cedar and stone, there lies a shimmering expanse of water known as Lake Como. This Y-shaped lake has drawn poets, painters, and dreamers for centuries, its still surface reflecting more than just the surrounding villas and cypress trees. It reflects a slower rhythm of life. As twilight settles across the region, the lake darkens to a deep cobalt blue, and soft lights flicker to life along the shores, like stars fallen gently into the embrace of the earth. The villages and towns that cling to the edge of the lake feel timeless, their stone alleyways and ivy-covered walls bearing the marks of stories passed quietly through generations. Cobblestone lanes lead down to small harbors where wooden boats bob gently, and bell towers ring out across the water, calling no one in particular, yet comforting all who hear them. In the evening calm, the sound of footsteps on marble piazzas mingles with the gentle rustle of olive trees in the breeze, creating a harmony of stillness that soothes the mind. This journey along Lake Como will be a passage through elegance and nature, history and quiet splendor. From the grand villas and manicured gardens to the peaceful villages nestled between mountain and shore, we will drift gently through moments suspended in time. Let the water guide your thoughts and the mountain air ease your breath, for this is a place where the world moves slowly, and rest comes as naturally as the rippling of the lake beneath a moonlit sky. Welcome to Bedtime Travel Stories, where soothing tales and gentle narrations take you on a tranquil journey through the world's most enchanting places, right from the comfort of your bed. Unwind and travel with us as we explore the globe one story at a time, helping you relax and drift into a peaceful sleep. Nestled along the eastern shore of Lake Como, the village of Varenna begins to stir with the early light of morning. The sun rises slowly above the mountains, casting golden reflections across the lake's surface and bathing the pastel facades of the buildings in a gentle glow. Fishermen in small wooden boats drift quietly out onto the water, their silhouettes barely causing a ripple in the stillness. A low mist clings to the edges of the waterline, weaving its way between the stone arches of the old ferry dock and softening the world into a watercolor dream. The rhythm of life in Varenna is unhurried, almost meditative. Stone staircases wind their way between terracotta-roofed houses, leading down toward the promenade that hugs the edge of the lake. Potted geraniums add bright bursts of red along windowsills, and wrought-iron balconies cradle hanging vines that sway with the breeze. There is no rush here, only the slow unfolding of a morning meant for quiet observation and calm reflection. The aroma of warm croissants and freshly brewed espresso begins to drift from the small cafés tucked into the lower streets. Locals gather at the same tables they've sat at for decades, sipping slowly, talking softly, as if not to disturb the peacefulness of the day. Nearby, a baker arranges baskets of focaccia and fruit tarts, the buttery scent mingling with the crisp mountain air. This moment, this quiet beginning, is the essence of Varenna, a place where even time seems to pause and sigh. Down by the waterfront, the narrow Passeggiata degli Innamorati, the Lovers' Walk, traces a delicate path along the lake's edge. Couples stroll hand in hand, pausing to take in the reflections of cypress trees and scattered sailboats on the water. The pathway is bordered by lush hedges and ancient stone walls, each curve revealing another tranquil vista, more enchanting than the last. Every corner of this promenade seems tailor-made for a stolen glance, a shared silence, a breath of serenity. From the vantage point of the Church of San Giorgio, perched gently above the square, the tiled roofs and winding alleys stretch out below like a quiet labyrinth. Inside, candlelight flickers on frescoed walls, and the scent of old incense lingers in the cool stone air. A few travelers pause in reverence, not for any particular reason, other than to honor the stillness the space offers. Outside, the church bell chimes, low, slow, and resonant, blending with the sound of lapping waves far below. As midday approaches, the colors of the village shift. Shadows retreat into shaded archways, and the lake turns a soft, translucent turquoise under the midday sun. Cicadas hum in the olive groves above, and the occasional clink of cutlery echoes from hidden courtyards where lunch is being quietly served. Time does not move here in hours, but in moments. The swirl of gelato on a cone, the brush of a cat winding through a sunlit doorway, the light splash of water on stone steps. Varenna holds its beauty not in grand monuments, but in its quiet, poetic simplicity. It offers the kind of charm that doesn't demand attention, but simply waits to be noticed. A place to sit on a bench and watch the way light dances on water, or to listen to the creak of wooden boats as they return to the dock. Every sound, every sight, every scent is an invitation to slow down. In this village by the lake, surrounded by mountains and memory, one begins to feel the hush settle deeper into the body. Even the mind softens here, unspooling slowly like a ribbon in the breeze. There is nothing to do, and yet everything is happening. And in this stillness, the journey has only just begun. Perched gracefully at the fork where Lake Como's three arms meet, Bellagio reveals itself like a carefully composed painting. From the water, its grand villas and tidy promenades emerge against a backdrop of forested hills and snowy alpine peaks. Pale yellow facades, green shutters, and bursts of pink bougainvillea create a cascade of color spilling down cobbled stairways. The scene feels choreographed, as if centuries of refinement have gently arranged each tree, each terrace, each ripple on the water. At the heart of Bellagio is its ancient center, where narrow lanes curve around quiet piazzas and elegant archways open into cozy boutiques. The scent of lemon trees and jasmine floats along the narrow paths, mingling with the faint saltiness of the lake breeze. Old stone churches rise modestly between shops and cafés, their bells chiming soft notes that fade into the hills. Every step is cushioned by the hush of well-worn stones and the rhythm of a town that has never needed to rush. Villa Melzi, a neoclassical estate that stretches along the shore, offers one of the lake's most peaceful promenades. Gravel paths meander through gardens filled with camellias, azaleas, and ancient cypress trees that reach skyward like silent sentinels. Statues appear between branches, half hidden and softened by moss and time. Down by the water, marble steps lead into the lake itself, where the reflections of swans glide through gardens sculpted in silence. Travelers linger on the lakeside promenade, where wrought iron benches face the shimmering expanse of water. A family of ducks drifts by, undisturbed by the gentle activity around them. A violinist plays softly beneath the shade of a chestnut tree, his melody wrapping around the murmured conversations and the clinking of espresso cups. Here even the air seems to move at half speed, inviting all who pass to surrender to stillness. Midday light gives the lake a brighter shimmer, and Bellagio's rooftops gleam with soft heat. Boats come and go from the small harbor, each leaving behind a brief, elegant ripple before fading into the distance. Nearby, a gelateria serves up scoops of lavender and pistachio, flavors as delicate as the breeze. Children giggle in fountains while older couples sit close, their hands resting lightly atop one another's, saying little, needing even less. Up the hillside, a vineyard overlooks the entire Y-shaped sweep of Lake Como, its vines whispering in the wind. From this height, Bellagio looks like a jewel cupped in the palms of the lake. Rows of olive trees add their silvery green to the landscape, and the occasional toll of a far-off bell blends with the sound of wind through grape leaves. A simple wooden bench offers the best view, asking nothing in return but a few quiet minutes of attention. Bellagio's allure lies in this effortless harmony, luxury wrapped in restraint, history softened by bloom. It is not a place to be toured so much as absorbed, one breath at a time. The water, the gardens, the light, they all conspire to pull the world inward, to create a space where beauty is not just seen but felt. And once felt, it lingers. As shadows grow longer and the hills blush with evening light, Bellagio settles into a hush that suits it well. Lamps flicker on beside lakeside paths, casting warm pools of light for those still wandering after dinner. Somewhere nearby, the scent of rosemary and firewood drifts through the air. Another peaceful day has folded into the story of the lake. Set atop a wooded promontory that juts dramatically into the lake, Villa del Balbianello appears as though it were conjured from a dream. Its ochre walls, graceful arches, and perfectly trimmed cypress trees seem to float above the water, embraced by forest and sky. This secluded villa, once the retreat of scholars and explorers, now welcomes the quiet footfall of visitors enchanted by its elegance and mystery. The stillness here is profound, broken only by birdsong and the occasional flutter of leaves in the lakeside breeze. A narrow stone path winds uphill through terraced gardens, where ivy climbs up ancient balustrades, and statues of mythic figures stand watch among rose bushes. Each turn reveals a new tableau, a loggia that opens onto a sweeping view of the lake's western arm, a shaded bench nestled beneath a laurel tree, a quiet corner where jasmine blooms beside a trickling fountain. Time here seems to bend, folding the past and present into a single unhurried breath. The villa itself, built in the late 18th century, is filled with the collected artifacts of lives lived in pursuit of knowledge and beauty. Inside, rooms echo with the presence of the villa's most famous resident, explorer Guido Monzino, whose maps, books, and expedition gear remain preserved just as he left them. Light filters through lace curtains and dances on polished wooden floors, while the scent of old leather and lavender drifts through the air like a quiet memory. From the grand balcony, the lake spreads wide and glittering, reflecting the alpine peaks that cradle it from afar. Boats pass silently below, their wakes trailing like brushstrokes across a liquid canvas. A marble statue of a Roman goddess overlooks the view, her gaze steady and serene, as if guarding the stories held in every stone and breeze. The lake and sky merge at the horizon in a haze of silver and blue. Visitors speak in hushed tones, drawn into the villa's meditative atmosphere. A woman in a sun hat sketches the scene from a shaded portico, her pencil tracing the arches and vines with reverence. A couple strolls hand in hand, their conversation a whisper shared beneath the tiled roof of the open-air loggia. Every moment here feels like a scene unfolding slowly, deliberately, as if meant to be remembered exactly as it is. Surrounding the estate, the gardens bloom with order and wildness in equal measure. Lavender hedges line the upper terraces, while wisteria drapes along arched walkways, its blossoms brushing against ancient stone. Olive trees twist beside marble urns, their silvery leaves catching the light like fragments of a dream. The scent of earth, sun-warmed stone and pine creates a balm for the senses. As the afternoon deepens, shadows stretch across the lawns, and sunlight dapples the steps that lead down to the water's edge. A soft hush falls over the villa, as if the grounds themselves are slipping into a restful sigh. From this peaceful haven, the world beyond feels distant, softened by the haze of beauty and reflection. The villa does not demand attention. It simply welcomes those who are ready to listen. Villa del Balbianello is more than a destination. It is a moment suspended in time, a place where grandeur and tranquility entwine. To sit quietly beneath its arches, to watch the lake shimmer in the hush of early evening, is to feel the presence of stillness made real. At the southern tip of the lake, framed by forested hills and the distant breath of mountains, lies the town of Como, a graceful blend of medieval charm and quiet sophistication. The town stirs gently in the morning, with shutters creaking open and pigeons cooing from rooftops as the first light spreads over the cobbled piazzas. Down by the waterfront, long promenades lined with sycamore trees stretch along the harbor, where sailboats rock softly in their moorings and the lake glimmers with golden ripples. At the heart of Como stands its crown jewel, the Cattedrale di Santa Maria Assunta. Rising like a pale dream of stone and spire, the cathedral's facade is a delicate lace of marble and sculpture, with intricate carvings that tell stories too old for words. Its dome, a soft grey blue, catches the morning light and echoes the color of the lake beyond. The bells toll softly at the hour, sending their sound spiraling through narrow alleys like a lullaby. Inside, the hush deepens. Sunbeams filter through stained glass, coloring the air with quiet hues of crimson and gold. Candles flicker beside chapels carved in quiet reverence, and footsteps echo gently along polished stone floors. A visitor pauses before a fresco, lips parted slightly in wonder, while a caretaker brushes away invisible dust, preserving the sacred silence. The cool stillness offers a sanctuary, not only of faith but of thought. Beyond the cathedral, Como unfolds in a peaceful rhythm of life. Artisanal shops display hand-woven silk scarves and delicate paper journals, their windows shaded by striped awnings. Cafés spill onto sun-dappled squares, where locals gather for cappuccinos and gentle conversation. Laughter rises softly from children playing near the fountain in Piazza Cavour. And from a terrace above, The scent of espresso mingles with fresh basil and grilled focaccia. The town's medieval walls, still sturdy and serene, stand watch over the ages. A quiet walk along the ancient Porta Torre offers glimpses into a time when Como was both protector and prize. Ivy climbs the old stonework, while the hush of the past seems to settle into every nook and cranny. As footsteps echo beneath the archway, it feels less like passing through history and more like being welcomed by it. Not far from the old gate, the funicular glides up the steep hillside toward Brunat, offering a slow ascent through whispering trees and glimpses of tiled rooftops below. At the summit, the lake stretches out like a story unfolding, arms branching northward toward the mountains. Breezes tug gently at linen shirts and shawls, and conversations fall quiet as eyes settle on the timeless panorama. Como below seems smaller from here, quieter, softer, more complete. Evening draws long shadows over the water as Como begins to glow. Street lamps shimmer on polished stone, and couples stroll arm in arm along the Lungo Lario promenade. A violinist plays near the water's edge, the notes rising like mist to meet the stars. Behind him, the cathedral rests in moonlight, no longer gilded in sun but silvered in grace. There is a gentleness to Como that asks nothing of its visitors except presence. Its charm lies not in spectacle, but in the soft continuity of beauty, faith, and rhythm. Here, in the quiet heart of the lake, the spirit slows and listens. Across the water from Varenna, nestled on the lake's western shore, lies the sun-drenched town of Bellagio. With its terracotta roofs and graceful arcades, Bellagio offers a blend of lakeside ease and alpine clarity. As morning ripens into midday, the stone-paved promenade begins to stir with soft footsteps and the occasional whir of a bicycle bell. Palm trees line the water's edge, their fronds swaying gently as though sighing with contentment. The central square, Piazza Garibaldi, is alive with the easy rhythm of small-town life. Elderly locals gather on sun-warmed benches, exchanging smiles and slow conversation as the sound of a distant accordion drifts from a nearby balcony. Children chase pigeons across the open space, while the smell of baked focaccia and espresso wafts from the cafés that curve around the square. Every movement here feels unhurried, deliberate, as though Bellagio itself refuses to let the day slip by too quickly. Along the waterfront, bright flowers spill from wrought iron planters, and the lake laps gently against stone steps leading down into the water. Wooden boats with sun-faded paint are tied loosely to small piers, bobbing quietly in the soft wake of the passing ferries. A couple shares a gelato beneath a striped umbrella, their laughter blending with the sound of the water and the rustling of linen curtains in the breeze. The scent of lemon trees and blooming geraniums lingers in the air like a whisper. Just beyond the town's edges, walking paths lead into the hills that rise behind Bellagio, offering shaded trails and stunning overlooks. Cypress trees cast long, slender shadows across fields of wild thyme and rosemary. From these paths, the rooftops of Bellagio appear like a cluster of stories waiting to be told, each with its own sun-drenched balcony, its own quiet view of the lake. Birds call from hidden branches, their songs rising and falling with the breeze. Afternoons in Bellagio invite a kind of meditation through motion. Paddleboarders and canoes glide silently across the water, and the occasional sailboat cuts a soft line through the shimmering surface. At the local marina, voices are low and movements unhurried, as if even boats must ask permission to disturb the lake's calm. Every splash, every rustle, becomes part of a slow and thoughtful harmony. Hidden within the town's quiet streets is a centuries-old church whose doors remain open to the curious and the weary alike. Inside, cool air and candlelight offer a gentle contrast to the brightness outside. An elderly man sits alone in the back pew, head bowed not in prayer but in peaceful reflection. A sense of timelessness fills the space, echoing the mood of the town beyond its walls. As the sun begins to lean westward, Bellagio basks in a golden hour glow. Shadows stretch long across the promenade, and the sounds of clinking glasses and gentle laughter rise from trattorias setting tables for the evening. A local musician tunes his guitar beside the lake, preparing to play a song he has likely played 100 times before, yet tonight it will sound just right. Bellagio is not loud, nor does it need to be. Its magic is woven from the quiet gifts of ordinary beauty: light on stone, wind on water, laughter without urgency. It is a place where time folds into the corners, where stillness is not emptiness, but fullness, finally allowed to bloom. In the heart of Tremezzo, where the lake widens and the hills slope gently toward the shore, the gates of Villa Carlotta open onto a world of quiet wonder. The villa, elegant and pale against the green of its gardens, seems to float between earth and air. With each step through the grand iron gate, visitors are drawn not by spectacle, but by the soft spell of nature curated into perfection. Here time takes the shape of leaves and blossoms, unfolding with each turn of the path. The gardens begin in sunlight, with terraces that overlook the lake and frame it like a moving painting. Beyond marble balustrades, the water gleams in shades of blue and silver, and the Alps rise like distant guardians, their peaks softened by mist. Along the gravel paths, camellias bloom in wild profusion, their soft petals catching the light like bits of dawn. The air is perfumed by clusters of rhododendrons, and the occasional breeze carries a whisper of lemon and laurel. Higher in the garden, bamboo groves sway like living curtains, while fern-filled corners offer a cool refuge from the midday sun. Water trickles through small stone channels, drawing birds and butterflies to its edge. Steps carved into mossy rock lead to shaded overlooks where the lake is glimpsed between cypress trunks. The world quiets here. Even the birds seem to sing more softly. In spring, Villa Carlotta becomes a symphony of color. Azaleas flood the hillside in hues of coral, pink and white, creating a living mosaic that spills down toward the villa itself. Gardeners tend to the grounds with reverence, pruning with care, watering in silence, as if not to wake the dreams woven into every leaf. It's not hard to imagine the villa's former residents wandering these paths, lost in thought, guided only by the scent of lilac and the warmth of the sun. Inside the villa, the rooms are filled with soft light and a sense of restrained grandeur. Delicate frescoes adorn the ceilings, while classical sculptures stand serenely in marble niches. One room, once Carlotta's, holds a writing desk set before a lake-facing window. its inkwell long dry, yet somehow still full of possibility. There is a hush to these rooms, a reverence that feels less like history and more like memory. On the garden's lower terrace, a grand cedar casts shade across a green lawn dotted with benches. Couples sit quietly, hands resting on sun-warmed wood, eyes fixed on the horizon where water meets sky. A young girl runs laughing between rose bushes, her joy softened by the petals that fall gently in her wake. A gardener pauses in his work to smile, then bends to trim a wayward vine with the patience of someone who understands the rhythm of stillness. As late afternoon approaches, golden light floods the garden in long, dappled patterns. Bees hum lazily among the lavender, and the sound of a cello played somewhere in the distance drifts over the hedgerows. The villa and its garden seem to sigh together, content with another day of quiet flourishing. The lake below shimmers like silk drawn over sleeping thoughts. Villa Carlotta is not a place of grandeur for grandeur's sake. It is an offering, a poem written in stone and stem, leaf and lake. To walk its paths is to move gently through time, guided not by urgency, but by beauty that needs no voice to be heard. Leno rests gently along a curve of Lake Como's western edge, where the water softens into a quiet bay, and the hills seem to lean in, as if listening. This small town, tucked between forested slopes and silver olive groves, carries an aura of secrecy, not of exclusion, but of protection. It offers its beauty quietly, without insistence, like a well-kept promise whispered only to those willing to slow down and hear it. Mornings in Leno begin with silence and sunbeams. The piazza by the lake awakens gently as sunlight warms the stone beneath awnings and stirs the scent of fresh bread from the bakery by the bell tower. A single fisherman rows across the bay, his silhouette casting slow ripples across the glassy surface. Church bells chime softly from Chiesa di Santo Stefano, and the world seems to move in careful, contemplative measure. The Lido di Leno, a small and unpretentious beach, stretches alongside a shaded promenade bordered by olive trees. Locals arrive with books and woven baskets, claiming their favorite chairs beneath white parasols. The breeze carries the scent of sun-warmed pine needles and coffee from the open-air cafe just beyond the sand. Bare feet shuffle quietly along the dock, and children's voices rise and fall like birdsong, never too loud, always part of the calm. Not far from the shoreline, a cobbled lane winds gently uphill to the beginning of the trail to Villa del Balbianello. The walk leads through olive groves and terraces, framed by low stone walls, each step offering glimpses of the lake between slender trees. Along the way, wild rosemary grows in clusters, and cicadas hum in the sun. The path is not long, but it invites pauses, to look, to breathe, to feel the way the lake mirrors the sky without trying. Back in town, the weekly market unfolds beneath canvas canopies, filling the square with the scent of cheese, citrus, and warm focaccia. The stallholders know their neighbors and greet visitors with nods rather than calls. A vendor slices fresh pecorino, while an elderly woman chooses the ripest figs from a wooden crate. The pace remains gentle, unrushed, in keeping with Leno's nature. Life here is not something to be accomplished, but something to be tasted. By early afternoon, the lakeside cafes hum with quiet joy. Glasses of local white wine glint in the sun, and the delicate clink of cutlery mingles with the soft splash of oars from passing boats. From beneath ivy-covered terraces, the aroma of grilled lake perch and lemon risotto drifts through the warm air. The water remains calm, almost still, reflecting not only the sky but the mood of the town itself, open, reflective, and kind. As the day fades, the light shifts from gold to rose, then to a soft lavender that settles over the hills. The bay takes on a hush deeper than silence, broken only by the occasional call of a bird or the flutter of a sail. Lamps flicker to life along the promenade, casting gentle reflections on the water, as if stars had decided to rest their light on the surface for a while. Leno does not ask for admiration. It invites belonging. It is the kind of place where one might forget the day of the week, where the lake speaks more clearly than the clock, a place to read, to think, to doze in the shade. And in the hush of evening, when the town has tucked itself in, it is a place where one's breath naturally slows. High above the lake, where the waters of Como stretch into quiet distance and the alpine air becomes crisp with altitude, the slopes of Monte Bre offer a view unlike any other. The journey upward begins with a gentle funicular ride, rising slowly through pine and chestnut forests, each turn unveiling more of the landscape below. From this elevation, the villages seem like painted tiles in a mosaic of earth and water, and the lake no longer simply glistens, it gleams with a quiet authority. The summit of Monte Bre welcomes with silence and space. The wind whispers through tall grass, and the soft hush of the trees creates a rhythm as steady as breath. Here the lake spreads like a ribbon of silver caught between mountains, each peak softened by distance, each valley folded like a secret. The sky opens wider above, and with it comes a sense of perspective, both literal and emotional. Hiking paths extend in every direction, leading through wildflower-strewn meadows and along ridgelines where hawks wheel silently overhead. Along these trails, the scent of juniper and damp stone lingers in the air, while small shrines and wooden benches invite moments of pause. A hiker pauses at a lookout, setting down her pack to simply breathe in the stillness. Below, boats leave delicate threads across the surface of the lake, their motion so gentle it barely disturbs the scene. In the quiet village of Bre itself, nestled just beneath the peak, time seems to move even more slowly. Narrow lanes wind between chalets and gardens, and the sound of a nearby brook mingles with the occasional clink of dishes from an open kitchen window. A small chapel at the edge of the village offers cool shade and echoes of prayers whispered long ago. Wildflowers nod gently along the path, and sunlight dapples the stone walls in golden rhythm. Lunch is a simple affair at a mountainside trattoria. Polenta with local cheese, cured meats with figs, a glass of white wine chilled by the mountain air. The flavors are clear and honest, rooted in earth and tradition. Guests speak in low tones or not at all, as if words might scatter the peace. In the distance, the lake sparkles beneath the sun like a second sky lying flat across the world. As the afternoon wanes, a low mist begins to rise from the valleys, curling softly around the lower slopes. The sun filters through in golden shafts, lighting the lake below in bursts of copper and rose. A shepherd moves slowly with his flock across a distant field, their presence marked by the soft chime of bells. Even the air feels more substantial here, cooler, purer, yet somehow easier to breathe. The descent back toward the lake brings a shift in perspective. The lake is no longer just a surface, it's a memory of reflections, a mirror of sky, a presence that stretches far beyond its shoreline. The mountain has changed nothing, yet altered everything. The hush of the heights lingers like a gentle weight upon the heart. Monte Bray reminds those who climb it that the world is vast yet also tender, that to rise is not only to seek, but to see, and that sometimes, from a quiet summit above the lake, life below feels both beautifully distant and lovingly near. On the southwestern edge of Lake Como, just north of the city, the refined town of Cernobbio begins to glow with the amber tones of early evening. Lined with tree-shaded avenues and elegant villas, Cernobbio feels like a soft exhale after a long day, graceful, composed, and gently lit. Along the lakefront promenade, iron benches rest beneath lamplight, and the first stars appear above the darkening outline of the mountains. The rhythm here is slower still, even by Lake Como standards. Locals linger over aperitifs at outdoor tables, their voices low, their glasses fogged by the warmth of spritz and lemon. Children pedal slowly through the square as elders lean into conversation, all of it unfolding beneath the soft chime of the old church's bell tower. Lanterns cast golden reflections across the lake's rippling surface, dancing quietly beside the moored boats. Cernobbio's grand villas, once the retreat of aristocrats and diplomats, remain poised along the lake's edge like silent witnesses to history. Villa Erba, with its manicured grounds and ornate halls, reflects the golden hour in its wide windows. Nearby, the legendary Villa d'Este, its garden terraces lush with wisteria and hydrangea, radiates timeless elegance. These estates do not flaunt their grandeur. They hold it gently, like a memory too beautiful to disturb. As twilight settles, the scent of rosemary and grilled seafood drifts from trattorias tucked along narrow lanes. A waiter lights a single candle at each lakeside table, its flame trembling in the breeze. Plates arrive quietly. Risotto al pesce persico, fresh pasta with sage butter, slices of panna cotta served with forest berries. Each dish is crafted not just with skill, but with intention, made to be savored slowly with the lapping water as a backdrop. The lake near Cernobbio turns to ink as night deepens, and the faint outline of passing boats is marked only by a distant lantern or a soft splash. A couple walks hand in hand along the quiet stone pier, pausing to lean against the railing, their silhouettes mirrored in the stillness below. The hush of evening is so complete, it feels like a private conversation between the town and the stars. Above the village, villas climb into the hillside, their gardens lit softly from within. Cypress trees stand like quiet guards beside terraced balconies, and the occasional clink of a wineglass drifts down from a private dinner beneath ivy-covered arches. From these heights, the lake's serpentine shape curves in moonlight, its distant arms cradling the hush of other sleeping villages. At the far end of the promenade, a solitary musician plays a slow, familiar tune on a wooden flute. The melody is old, unhurried, and strangely comforting. It drifts into the air like a lullaby, echoing across the water, blending with the rhythm of nightfall. Even those passing by without hearing seem to respond, walking a little slower, speaking a little softer. Cernobio does not mark the end of the day. It smooths it into something finer, something whole. It turns twilight into an invitation, stillness into music, and silence into something shared. Here, by the gentle curve of the lake, the soul is gently wrapped in light, and peace arrives not with fanfare, but with a smile that needs no words. Night has settled softly over Lake Como. The villages that dot the shore now rest beneath a quiet sky, their lights mirrored gently in the water, like a constellation turned downward. The lake, so full of color and sound during the day, now lies still, its surface smooth and dark, holding the hush of every stone path, every ripple of conversation, every breath drawn beside its edge. From the mountains to the marinas, everything has slowed. There is a kind of timelessness here that lingers long after footsteps fade. The hills remember every song sung into the dusk, every bell that rang over the rooftops, every vine that leaned a little farther toward the light. Beneath the surface, the reflections of villas and villages blur into one another, as if the lake is gently cradling each moment, letting none be lost. In this stillness, thoughts settle, hearts soften, and the world becomes a quieter, kinder place. And now, with the air cool and sweet and the sky threaded with stars, it is time to rest. Let the breeze carry you deeper into sleep, as if you were drifting slowly across the lake's calm waters. The towns of Varenna, Bellagio, Leno, and all the others have faded into shadow, but their peace remains. Close your eyes and let the memory of the lake be your lullaby. You are safe. You are at ease. You are home beside the water. We hope you enjoyed today's serene journey and found peace in our gentle narration. Do join us next time as we make a relaxing visit to another of the world's most iconic places. Sweet dreams and safe travels until we meet again.